Steam rises from my chamomile tea, curling into the autumn twilight. The lake stretches before me, dark water lapping at my cottage's shoreline. This moment of peace cost me 6 years of double shifts and microwave dinners. But watching the sunset paint the water copper makes every sacrifice worth it. My phone buzzes against the wooden arm of my Adirondack chair. Another spam call, probably. But when I glance down, my heart stops. The security app notification glows bright. Motion detected, back door. I tap the alert with trembling fingers. The live feed loads crystal clear and high definition. And there they are. My sister Brooke stands nervous watch, while her husband Dylan works at my back door with a crowbar, my own sister. The handle of my mug burns against my palm as I fumble for 911. The dispatcher's voice sounds tiny, distant. Emergency services. What's your emergency? Someone's breaking into my house. The words barely squeeze past my throat. I have them on camera. They're at my back door with a crowbar. Are you in a safe location? Yes. Front porch, I can see them on my security feed. I watch Dylan wedge the crowbar into my doorframe. The wood splinters. Please hurry. Officers are en route. Stay on the line with me. Can you describe the perpetrators? My voice cracks. My sister and her husband. 7 days ago, my mother called for the first time in 8 months. Her voice dripped honey, warning me trouble was coming. Marilyn's sweetheart. How are you? I should have hung up then. I'm fine, Mom. I kept my tone neutral, professional, the way I'd learned to handle her after all these years. Good, good. A pause. Listen, we need to talk about your cottage. My fingers tightened on the phone. What about it? Well, you know Brooke and Dylan are expecting. They need a proper home for the baby. Another pause. You've got that lake house all to yourself. Would you consider gifting it to them? The room spun. Gifting them my house. Family hubs, family. Marilyn, don't be selfish. Selfish, the word she used when I wouldn't let Brooke copy my homework, when I wouldn't loan her my car, when I wouldn't drain my college fund to bail out her first husband. Number. The word came out sharp. Final. This is my home. I worked for it. You always were stubborn. Mom's voice hardened. Family doesn't turn their backs on family. Really, 17 years of buried rage bubbled up. Family doesn't throw you out at 17 and call it character building either. The silence stretched between us like a razor wire. Think about your sister, Mom said finally. She needs this more than you do. Now I watch that same sister peer through my back window while her husband tries to steal what I spent years building. The security lights flash on, highlighting Brooke's rounded belly under her jacket. 6 months along, according to Mom's Facebook posts. Just far enough to start showing, not far enough to slow her down. The distant wail of sirens splits the air. Dylan's head snaps up. He drops the crowbar. Brooke grabs his arm, pulling him toward the treine. But the cameras catch everything their faces. The crowbar, the damage to my door evidence in crisp digital clarity. Red and blue lights dance across the lake surface as 2 patrol cars swing into my gravel drive. I'm still clutching my cold tea, somehow having never set it down. The dispatcher's voice comes through. Officers are on scene. You can hang up now, ma'am. I watch them search the woods with flashlights, find the crowbar Dylan dropped in his panic. The younger officer takes photos while his partner asks me questions. I answer in a voice that sounds far away, detached. Yes, that's my sister. Yes, I want to press charges. Yes, I have the security footage. You did the right thing, ma'am. The older officer's face is kind. Family or not, breaking and entering is a crime. They leave me with a case number and a promise to patrol past the cottage through the night. I stand in my kitchen, jumping at every creak of the settling house. My phone lights up again and again. Mom's number, Mom's number, Mom's number. I let it ring. On my coffee table, blank restraining order forms stare up at me. The police left them just in case. My hand hovers over the stack of papers, trembling with 17 years of accumulated pain. The phone rings again, but this time I'm done answering. Attorney Tom Whitaker's leather chair cacks as he leans forward, sliding his reading glasses down his nose. Morning sun streams through his office window, highlighting dust mows that dance above stacks of manila folders. His dust calendar still shows 1985. The year hasn't mattered here since the Reagan administration. Your mother's getting creative with the truth, Marilyn. He taps his iPad screen incongruous against the vintage furnishings. Look at what your sister posted yesterday. My hands tremble slightly as I take the device. Brooke's Facebook post fills the screen, complete with a photo of her cradling her belly, for everyone asking why we tried to visit my sister's cottage. That property was promised to us. Dylan and I have been planning our nursery, picking paint colors, everything. Then Marilyn swooped in and somehow got her name on the deed. Our baby might be born homeless because of her greed. Asterisk 300 sympathetic comments, 400 shares. There's more. Tom's voice carries the weight of 40 years of small-town legal practice. He swipes to another screen page with a stock photo of a pregnant woman sitting dejectedly on a curb. The description makes my stomach clench. Young couple robbed of their inheritance needs help securing a home for their baby. They've raised $8,000. Tom's weathered fingers drum against his desk. Your mother's been quite busy spreading her version of events. Version. The word tastes bitter. You mean lies. I knew your grandfather, Marilyn. Frank Anderson would have been proud of you standing your ground. Tom pulls out a thick folder. I've got your mortgage application right here. Every penny documented, every overtime shift logged. You want to know what you inherited from Frank. His backbone, not his property. A knock interrupts us. Tom's secretary Betty pokes her head in her silver hair catching the sunlight. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. Sandra's at First Lutheran telling everyone Marilyn stole the family inheritance to buy that cottage. My shoulders tighten. Mother's favorite battlefield, coffee hour after day service. I've got the restraining order paperwork ready. Tom slides a stack of forms across his desk. The same ones the police left at my cottage that night. Clara from next door called, said she's got additional security footage of Dylan testing your windows last week. She's willing to testify. My phone buzzes. Rachel's text fills the screen. You okay? Saw Brooke's post. Need me to come up this weekend, Rachel? Who shared her family's dinner table when I had nowhere else to go. Who helped me apply for college scholarships while I slept on her parents' pull-out couch. Another buzz. Unknown number. This is Pastor Mike from First Lutheran. Your mother suggested we mediate this family dispute. God calls us to honor our parents. Asterisk. Then Mother's voicemail notification. You're tearing this family apart just to be spiteful. Brooke's doctor says her blood pressure is dangerously high. If anything happens to the baby because of this stress, asterisk. The threat hangs unfinished. Tom's hand covers mine. Wrinkled skin paper, thin but steady. Look at me, Marilyn. I've got something to show you. He opens his laptop, typing with careful precision. Your sister's husband. This isn't his first attempted break-in. 2 prior in Wisconsin. Charges dropped both times. And this document. He turns the screen. Someone tried filing a fraudulent claim against your cottage deed last week. Care to guess who? The signature at the bottom stops my breath. Sandra Anderson. My own mother. The good news. Tom closes the laptop with a satisfied click. Your property rights are ironclad. I made sure of that at closing. The sheriff's adding extra patrols past your place's small town. Word gets around when someone threatens one of our own. One of your own, I voice catches. You think I've forgotten? You were in my granddaughter's class on a roll every semester. Even after he clears his throat, even after you had to leave home. This town remembers Marilyn. Sandra can spread all the gossip she wants at First Lutheran. Truth's got a way of rising to the surface up here. The restraining order forms weight on his desk. Stark black text against white paper. Legal language that can fence out family protection measured in court-mandated distance. Tom's ancient printer words to life. Spitting out copies of Brooke's social media posts. Mother's voicemails transcribed into evidence. A paper trail of betrayal documented in triplicate. Sometimes Tom says quietly, the hardest thing isn't earning what's yours. It's protecting it from the people who think your success belongs to them. My pen hovers over the restraining order forms. 17 years of accumulated pain crystallized into legal declarations. The weight of the pen matches the weight in my chest. Outside Tom's window, an American flag snaps in the Minnesota wind. The same flag that flew here when I was a teenager, walking past this office to my after-school job at the diner. The same flag that watched me serve coffee at midnight to save for college, one tip at a time. The pen touches paper. My signature flows across the line, black ink bleeding into white fibers. Final as a judge's gavel, permanent as a mother's betrayal. My hand doesn't shake at all. Tom gathers the signed forms with gentle hands. I'll file these today. You focus on keeping yourself safe. He pauses. Frank used to say character isn't what you build up. It's what's left standing after life tries to tear you down. I stand smoothing my skirt. Through the window I can see First Lutheran's steeple rising above the autumn trees. Mother's probably still there, spinning her stories over coffee and store-bought cookies. Brooks likely posted 3 more times about her homeless baby. But for the first time since that security alert lit up my phone, my shoulders feel straight. Tomorrow, I'll wake up in my cottage. I'll drink my coffee on my porch. I'll watch my sunrise paint my lake gold. Let them talk. I've got the truth, Tom Whitaker, and a restraining order on my side. And I've got something else too. The same steel in my spine that made a 17-year-old girl choose freedom over false family peace. The same determination that turned overtime shifts into mortgage payments. The same quiet strength that turns a cottage into a fortress. Board by board, nail by nail. Mother always said I was too stubborn for my own good. She was right about that, at least. Sandra's heels click against the polished floor of Anderson Financial Group. My coworkers head snap up from their monitors, following her progress through the cubicle maze. The scent of her Chanel No. 5 reaches me before she does. Marilyn Ruth Anderson. Her voice carries across the office. We need to talk about what you're doing to this family. I keep typing, eyes locked on my spreadsheet. 3 more figures to verify before sending this report. Behind me, whispers ripple through the break room. I said we need to talk. Sandra's palm slaps my desk. A photo of my cottage tips over. Mrs. Anderson. My boss appears at my cubicle entrance. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to leave. This is a family matter. This is a place of business. He steps between us. Security is already on their way. Sandra's face flushes. She's having her own mother escorted out by security. Do you see what kind of person she is? The guard's radio crackles. Sandra straightens her designer blazer chin high. Your sister cried herself sick last night. The doctor's worried about the baby's heart rate. I hope you're proud of yourself. Her heels click away. My hands hover over the keyboard, trembling. The numbers blur. Take the rest of the day, my boss says quietly. We've got this covered. At home, 3 messages blink on my machine. The first, this is Sharon from Grace Baptist. We're concerned about this unfortunate situation with your family. Perhaps we could mediate. The second, anonymous, calling my supervisor about my questionable family values. The third, my sister's choked voice. The landlord starting eviction proceedings. I hope you're happy. I sink into my Adirondack chair, the one I stripped and refinished last summer. The lake mirrors the sunset, peaceful despite everything. A memory surfaces. Me at 17, balancing 3 plates of truck stop meatloaf, praying for decent tips. The overnight shift manager letting me sleep in my car between doubles in the back lot. My phone buzzes. Rachel. I'm driving up this weekend. No arguments. The hardware store owner waves me over when I stop for deck sealer the next morning. That brother-in-law of yours tried to buy supplies here yesterday. Told him his money's not good at my establishment. He rings up my purchase. My granddaughter got pushed around by family too. Sometimes standing your ground is the only way. I'm weeding the cottage garden when Sandra's Lincoln pulls into my gravel drive. The thorns of a stubborn wild rose scratch my palms as she approaches. Brooke is facing court and eviction. She stands over me, casting a shadow across my tomato plants. You're being cruel. I sit back on my heels. The soil under my knees feels solid grounding. Remember when I slept in my car for 3 months? When I ate nothing but ramen to afford textbooks? That was different. You were being rebellious. I was being thrown away. I brushed dirt from my jeans. I built everything I have alone after you abandoned me. Their actions were illegal, and now they face consequences. We're your family. You made this bed. The words taste like victory. You taught her to lie in it. Don't hand me the blanket now. The garden hose drips steadily. A chickadee lands on my bird feeder unconcerned by our drama. The church ladies are shocked by your behavior. Sandra says, "Sister turning against sister." The church ladies watched you throw me out at 17. Their shock seems selective. When she leaves, I return to my weeding. Each yanked route feels like breaking another chain. That evening, my cottage glows with new security lights. The updated alarm system hums, quietly protecting every entrance. Rachel helps me arrange furniture beneath fresh cameras. Look at this place. She runs her hand along my refinished windowsill. Remember when you first showed me the listing water damage broken windows that raccoon family in the crawl space? I smile. You said I was crazy. You were. She bumps my shoulder. But the good kind of crazy, the kind that builds something from nothing. The next morning, a certified letter arrives from my attorney. Official warning to Sandra about trespassing. My hand doesn't shake as I file it away. Days pass. My coworkers form a protective wall of silence when Sandra calls. The rumor mill shifts. Did you hear how she worked her way through college? Have you seen what she did with that rundown cottage? The local paper runs a feature on restoration success stories. My cottage renovation serves as their centerpiece. No mention of family drama, just before and after photos. The reporter asks about my 6-year journey from offering to occupation. Some people inherit security, I tell her. Others build it beam by beam. Sunset finds me on my rebuilt deck, steam rising from my chamomile tea. The lake ripples golden crimson. A lawn calls across the water, its cry echoing off distant shores. For the first time since the break-in attempt, my shoulders relax. The memory of that terrified 17-year-old girl feels distant, like a story about someone else. She never imagined this moment. Strong walls, solid roof, security system, property taxes paid in full. My phone buzzes. Sandra's number. I silence it without a second thought. The wind chimes my hardware store friend gave me tinkle softly. For keeping watch, he'd said, "When you're too tired to." Their gentle music mingles with lapping waves and rustling leaves. I lean back, breathing in the peace I've built. Not just my sanctuary, me vindication. Every nail driven, every board replaced, every garden bed planted stands as testament. They wanted to take it, but they couldn't because this strength. I built it myself, one painful lesson at a time. The security lights click on, illuminating my garden. Moths dance in their glow, while crickets sing back up to my wind chimes. Nature's symphony plays on undisturbed by human drama. Inside my cottage, the restraining order hangs framed beside my first property tax bill. Odd choice of decor, perhaps, but every time I pass them, my spine straightens a little more. They remind me that I'm not that scared teenager anymore. I'm the woman who built this, who defended it, who finally learned that disappointing toxic family feels a lot like freedom. The last light fades from the lake. My tea has cooled, but I'm not ready to go inside yet. This moment feels too precious to abandon. The security system keeps its quiet vigil while I savor the victory of finding my voice, of standing my ground, of building something no one can take away. Not all family is bound by blood. Some, like this sanctuary by the water. We build ourselves board by board until it stands strong enough to weather any storm. My pen scratches against the legal pad. Each line filled with times, dates, and details. Another text from Brooke lights up my phone. "Why won't you just talk to us?" I add it to the log along with the timestamp. Documenting everything feels cold mechanical, but Tom Whitaker's words echo in my head. Your memory isn't evidence. Your records are the cease and desist letters went out yesterday. 12 identical envelopes to 12 relatives who shared Brooke's fundraiser claiming I stole the cottage. My hand shook, signing each one. Muscle memory from years of trying to please these people, wearing with my need to protect myself. My security cameras ping. I glance at the feed. Sandra's Lincoln Navigator crawling past my driveway for the third time today. The system captures everything. License plate timestamp. Clear view of her face through the windshield. I forward the footage to Tom. Your mother's circling again. Rachel's voice crackles through my phone speaker. Like a vulture at a picnic, I rub my temples. She called the church ladies. They're planning an intervention to save my soul. How's the therapist working out? I glance at the workbook Dr. Chenna signed its pages filled with my handwriting. She says I'm making progress. Yesterday we talked about the Christmas when I was 14, when Mom gave Brooke my violin because she wanted it more. The memory still stings, but the edge has dulled. Apparently, giving away other people's possessions is a textbook control tactic. A rhythmic knock at my front door makes me jump. Through the security camera, I see Mrs. Abernathy from 3 houses down clutching a stack of papers. When I open the door, her weathered face crumples. I thought you should see these. She hands me a pile of anonymous letters. They've been showing up in everyone's mailboxes. Terrible things about you, dear. But we all remember when you spent that whole weekend helping Frank fix his boat lift. We know who you really are. The letters drip with accusations. I'm destroying my family. I'm jealous of Brooke's baby. I'm a bitter woman who'll die alone. Each one typed unmarked cowardly. I add them to my evidence file. My work phone buzzes Dylan's mother again. According to the receptionist, she's called 6 times this week to report my harassment of her innocent children. My boss finally blocked the number after she threatened to contact the board of directors. I flip open my laptop to check my email. Brooke's latest video pops up on Facebook. Tears streaming, hand cradling her belly, begging me to stop this madness before it's too late. The comment section floods with sympathy. Only a monster would hurt a pregnant sister, they say. A heartless woman who values property over family. Sandra's latest attempt arrives in a manila envelope of me. Old report cards, dance recital photos, broken me in matching Easter dresses, a handwritten note. Remember when we were a real family? I slide them into a drawer without looking too long. Memories can be weapons too. The newspaper calls it noon. They're investigating the attempted break-in, following up on reports of harassment. This happens more than people think. The reporter says elder financial abuse often starts with family members claiming they deserve the victim's property. I'm not elderly, but the pattern fits. While I talk, my community Facebook app lights up. Linda from the hardware store has started a thread. Standing with local businesswoman against family fraud. Comments pour in stories of other inheritance fights, property disputes, siblings stealing from siblings. Then someone shares the link. Dylan's prior 3B in Wisconsin. 2 domestic violence charges dropped when witnesses recanted. The fundraiser Brooke started vanishes within hours. Flagged for fraudulent claims. Your restraining order violation report came in. Tom's voicemail crackles through my speaker. Dylan was spotted within 100 yards of your property last night. Officers are adding it to the charges. My Aunt Susan texts, "Can we talk without your mother knowing?" Then Uncle Robert, there's more to this story, isn't there? Cracks in Sandra's carefully crafted narrative spreading like fissures in lake ice. The voicemail comes at sunset. Sandra's voice sounds smaller, stripped of its usual authority. "Marilyn, please, can't we discuss this privately? Just us." A pause. This is getting out of hand. Brooke's text follows. "I know I messed up, but if you just listened when we asked nicely, still manipulating, still blaming. Some habits run too deep to break. The church ladies don't bring pamphlets anymore." Mrs. Peterson, who taught my Sunday school class 20 years ago, stops by with banana bread and an apology. "We didn't know the whole story. I'm sorry, honey." I sit on my deck as evening settles over the lake, holding the business card for the women's shelter, where I've started volunteering. The director wants me to share my story with their support group. "Sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do," she told me. My phone buzzes again. Sandra calling the same number that hasn't changed since I was 17, standing in the rain with a duffel bag and nowhere to go. I silence it without looking. Through my window, I see my reflection. Shoulders straight, head high, unfolding into the woman that scared teenager never dreamed she could become. The lake ripples silver in the gathering dark. Somewhere on the other shore, a loon calls long and clear and free. Sandra stands on my front porch, Bible clutched to her chest like a shield. Pastor Mike hovers behind her shoulder, his weathered face arranged in what he probably thinks is a neutral expression. The late afternoon sun catches his silver hair, creating a halo effect that would be almost comical if my stomach wasn't twisted in knots. Marilyn Sandra's voice wavers. Please, just hear us out. The security camera above my head were seen tracking their movements. I think of the footage stored on my cloud drive. Dylan with his crowbar broke face pressed against my back window. My fingers tighten on the door frame. 5 minutes, I say. Sandra practically wilts with relief. Brooke's blood pressure is dangerously high. The doctor says the stress. She trails off, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue that appears from nowhere. Your future niece or nephew. 10. More seconds and I'm closing the door. Pastor Mike clears his throat. Marilyn, we're here as mediators. The church community is deeply concerned about this family situation becoming a matter of public record. A bitter laugh escapes before I can stop it. You mean the attempted burglary? That ship sailed when they brought the crowbar. Now Sister Pastor Mike starts, but I cut him off with a raised hand. Come inside, both of you. Their footsteps echo on my hardwood floors. I spent 3 weekends sanding and refinishing by hand. Sandra's eyes dart around the great room, taking in the exposed beams, the stone fireplace, the wall of windows overlooking the lake. Her mouth tightens at the corners. Sit. I gesture to the couch. They perch on the edge like nervous birds while I remain standing. Before you say another word, I have something to show you. The television flickers to life. Security footage fills the screen. Dylan working at my back door with the crowbar while Brooke keeps watch. The timestamp blinks in the corner, clear as crystal. Sandra's face drains of color. That's not... They were desperate. I pull out my phone, tap the screen, and Dylan's voice fills the room. Once we're in, she can't kick us out. Possessions 910 of the law. Right, babe. Brooke's giggle follows. Mom says she'll cave eventually. She always does. The recording ends in the silence. Waves lap at my shoreline through the open windows. There's more. I lay out the bank statements one by one on the coffee table. Every penny I saved for 6 years working double shifts at the diner, living in a basement apartment with no heat, while you were posting photos from your Cancun vacation. Sandra's hands flutter like trapped moths. We invited you to come after you threw me out at 17. My voice stays steady. Here's the property deed, the mortgage papers, the receipts for every repair and renovation in this. I set down a photo album open to the first page. Teenage me in a waitress uniform. Dark circles under my eyes. Every step of journey from homeless to homeowner. Pastor Mike shifts uncomfortably. Perhaps a temporary arrangement. Number. The word rings with finality. I have 3 things to say and then you're both leaving. I set my water glass down carefully, the clink against the coaster sharp in the hushed room. First, this cottage represents every night I spent working while homeless because of you, Sandra. Every penny saved, every skill learned, every sacrifice made after you showed me the door. She flinches at her first name. Second, I filed legal papers making it impossible to transfer this property to family members ever. The deed is locked in an irrevocable trust. Pastor Mike's eyebrows shoot up. Third, any further contact from you, Brooke, Dylan, or anyone acting on your behalf will result in immediate legal action. The restraining order is just the beginning. Sandra's face crumples, age lines deepening. For the first time, I notice the gray threaded through her hair, the slight tremor in her hands. I was wrong about you, she whispers. You were always the strong one. A truth I've waited 17 years to hear. But it doesn't fill the hollow space inside like I thought it would. I know, I say quietly. That's why you resented me. She doesn't deny. It doesn't try to explain or defend. Just stands clutching her Bible like a life preserver. And walks to the door. Pastor Mike follows, pausing with his hand on the knob. The church ladies will be praying for don't. The word comes out sharp enough to make him step back. Prayer didn't keep me warm that first night after she threw me out. It didn't pay my tuition or put food on my table. My own hands did that. He nods once, a strange mix of respect and resignation in his eyes, and follows Sandra into the fading daylight. I stand in the doorway watching them retreat down my gravel drive. My shadow stretches long and straight across the porch boards I replaced last summer. Inside, the security system chimes. All clear, premises secure. I don't need the electronic reassurance anymore. The real security lives in my bones now, built board by board, nail by nail, just like the sanctuary by the water. Some would call it a cottage. I call it vindication. Behind me, waves whisper against my shoreline. Ahead, Sandra's car disappears around the bend, carrying away 17 years of power she never should have had. The evening air tastes like freedom. I close the door. Turn the deadbolt, pour a fresh glass of water. Tomorrow I'll start planting the garden I've always wanted. Tonight, I'll sleep without wondering when the other shoe will drop because I finally understand I'm not just the strong one. I'm free. The wind chimes my grandfather made catch the morning breeze. Copper pipes singing across the water. 1 year. The security app notification glows on my phone screen. 365 days without incidents. My coffee steams in the crisp autumn air as I settle into my Adirondack chair on the reinforced deck. Behind me, the garden blooms where Dylan once stood with his crowbar. Purple cone flowers stretch toward the sky, defiant and strong. I planted them the day after the restraining order hearing, digging my fingers into soil that had witnessed my family's betrayal. Now they've spread into a wild patch of color, as if nature itself wants to erase those footprints. The letter arrived yesterday through Tom Whitaker's office. Brooke's handwriting fills 3 pages. No mention of the cottage or money or what I owe the family. Just truth, plain and unvarnished. She's left Dylan, enrolled in community college, found a job at the public library. No requests, no expectations. The words "I'm sorry" appear only once, but they feel solid, weighty, like the first foundation stone of something new. I wrote back this morning, 2 sentences. I'm glad you're finding your path. I wish you well. The boundaries stand firm, but without the razor wire of rage that once topped them. Rachel arrives as the sun climbs higher, bearing fresh bagels, and the same fierce loyalty she showed when I slept on her family's pull-out couch at 17. She eyes the security cameras, the reinforced windows, the new motion sensors. You've built yourself a fortress. More like a sanctuary, I say, pouring her coffee. The aroma mingles with late roses climbing the trellis. Another splash of life where darkness once crouched through the kitchen window. I watch the hardware store owner's truck pull up. Pete climbs out carrying lumber for our Saturday carpentry lesson. Last month, he taught me to build custom shelving. Today, we're tackling window seats. His gruff kindness reminds me of my grandfather. The way he shows love through teaching skills rather than empty words. The afternoon brings my chosen family trickling in. Clara from next door bearing her famous apple pie. Tom Whitaker, with a box containing the latest security system upgrade. 3 women from my shelter volunteer group, their strength echoing in their laughter. My boss, Angela, who stood like a wall between me and Sandra's workplace ambush attempts. Rachel raises her glass as twilight paints the lake copper to building something no one can take from you. The words settle into my bones like truth. I think of the 3 teenage girls I mentored at the shelter last month. Their eyes lighting up when I explained about squirreling away spare dollars, building credits, slowly planning escape routes. The small scholarship fund I started with my latest bonus, earmarked for displaced teens needing a first apartment deposit. Night falls soft around us. No more jumping at shadows. No more sleeping with one ear tuned for splintering wood. The cottage holds me like a promise kept. My phone lights up. Sandra's number. I silence it without hesitation. Turn back to my friends' voices rising and falling like the wind chimes. On my desk, inside my first property tax bill, sits framed a document that once terrified me, now displayed like a battle flag. Beneath it, sealed in the cornerstone of the rebuilt deck, rests a letter to my 17-year-old self. You will build your own sanctuary. Every nail, every board a testament to the life that begins when you choose yourself. Not all family flows in blood. Some rises in hammer swings and paint strokes in the solid think of doors that open and close at your command. The lake whispers against my shoreline, constant as a heartbeat. Some call it a cottage. I call it vindication. Every nail, every board a testament to the life I built after they showed me the door. Not all family is bound by blood. Some is built board by board.